Good evening, everyone. We're going to get our council meeting started tonight. Tonight, we're going to have an invocation, thought, and then the leading by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Carney.
I've got a thought for tonight. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. From John F. Kennedy. You'll join me in the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to our consent agenda. Does anyone have a conflict of interest they would like to disclose tonight? Nope. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. And item 2 and 3 are actually closely related. So Ryan says I can take a little bit of liberty. And we're going to jump to 3 first. We're going to recognize 2 of our outgoing planning commissioners. So Nicole Nancaro, she served our city for 10 years as a planning commissioner. The last 1 year has been as the planning chair, correct? And she's done a lot of amazing things for our city. And then Johnson Webb, he was able to serve our city for 5 years. He's done a lot with us as well. And I've actually asked Scott. I don't see Scott. Scott was supposed to come up and say a few words as well, since he worked with him directly. Joyce, would you like to say anything since Scott's not here? Yeah, say, where are you, Scott? We do have a couple plaques here and some hats. We have some thank you cards that we're trying to get signed real quick as well.
So while you're doing that, I can say a few things. So North Ogden City is super lucky with the skills that our planning commission has. Before I started working for the city, I appeared in front of planning commissions, and ours is one of the most professional while still being the most relatable I've ever seen because of their ability to engage with the residents who are upset in a way that makes them feel included, but also understanding the situation. So just really impressed, and a large part due to these 2 in particular and the different skills they bring to the group. It's not the same person over and over. They're all unique and they all bring a certain spice that really makes the meetings function well. So anyways, thank you so much for your service, both of you.
Okay, here, your plaque. There you go. Thank you. Did you get one of our fine North Ogden City hats? Wear with pride. Absolutely. Thank you. And before you leave, make sure you grab these thank you cards that we have. They're almost done. But moving on, since now we have 2 vacancies, we do have 2 planning commissioners. We held interviews 3 weeks ago, about 2 to 3 weeks ago. We actually had 5 people apply. We interviewed them all. We had great candidates. It was actually hard to come down to 2, but the 2 names that I'm going to present tonight, and we're going to look for council to approve, Phil Swanson and Cass Saddlemeyer will be our 2 new planning commissioners if you 4 will approve them. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move that we approve Phil Swanson and Cass Settlemeyer as planning commissioners.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Dowpaz.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Watson. Do we have any other discussion or questions about it? All right, this is does it have to be a roll call vote, right? Yeah. All right, we'll do a roll call vote, and we'll start with Councilmember Pulver and work our way down. Councilmember Pulver?
Yes.
Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowpaz?
Yes.
And Councilmember Carney?
Yes.
All right, so those are 2 new planning commissioners, and now we'll turn the time over to Ryan to come and swear them in.
Here to the podium with me, please. You guys can stand right over there and raise your right hand. Swear. Be ready, brace yourselves. Okay, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Utah.
Constitution of the State of Utah.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you if each of you will sign
Yeah.
your respective ones. Let me get you a pen. I apologize. Let you know, we'll send these over to you guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And we can still stay on item number 3. Scott, would you like to say anything about our planning commissioners? Nicole and Johnson?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
over talking about planning commission, and city council stuff for next week. So as we said at planning commission, I really wanted to appreciate and give thanks to Nicole Nancaro for her 10 years on the planning commission and Johnson's 5 years on the planning commission. So I've been here 4.5 years and got to work closely with both of them. And thank you for your leadership the last year as chair. And we had some really difficult decisions that were made. And I just think we have a great planning commission and want to thank everybody. So thank you for giving me a second and sorry I was late.
Nope, you're all right.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay, moving on. We're looking for discussion and or action to approve January 6th, 2026 meeting minutes. They've been distributed electronically. To be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve January 2026 meeting
Okay.
minutes.
A motion by Councilmember Pulver. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Carney seconded. Do we have any other discussion or corrections needed? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Okay, our active agenda. So in consideration of the agenda structure, I'm just going to read what was given to me and the interview process for the vacant city council seat. Public comments will be accepted at the conclusion of of this meeting, and this modification is limited only to tonight's meeting.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to speak with you before the meeting.
Okay.
I would move that we allow public comments at the beginning of the meeting. And with an encouragement, if anyone does have any public comments, that they keep their ideas and their thoughts civil, especially if it's pertaining to people that are applying for the position.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilmember Dowpass to put public comments back in at the beginning.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Councilmember Carney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was 3 ayes. And any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so 3-1, so we will put public comments back in. So for public comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, whether you're a resident of North Ogden, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. And also, please let's be cordial and remember that everybody that is applying and running for or trying for the seat is a citizen, and we're trying to do the best we can. So now is the time for public comments.
Nice. My name's Kevin DeFries. I've been a resident of North Ogden since the early 80s. Been here a long time. And I sent an email to each one of you, and I just wanted to come and let you know that I'm in support of Kevin Burns. I really appreciate him. I've been a neighbor with him, not now, but in my early years in North Ogden, and really know that he would do a good job, brings fresh blood. Because I know him, all the time that he puts in coming to these meetings, he's well aware of what's going on in North Ogden. I know him to be an honest and have great integrity. And, you know, by me sending out my email, my wife's here as well. We just wanted to let you know that, you know, we were serious about the things that we said. And we live up in the upper part of North Ogden now. And our neighbors and friends and people we know are all in support of it as well. And anyway, I just wanted to come and express that today. Thank you.
Any other public comments? If not, okay, we'll look to close public comments and we'll move on to the interview process. So the interviews of the applicants for appointments to fill a midterm vacancy on the city council is pursuant to the Utah Code, and I'm going to invite our recorder, Ryan, to read the interview process and voting procedures.
Alrighty, council. Each applicant will be provided with time to give an opening statement, introducing themselves and summarizing their qualifications. Each council member will ask one pre-planned question. There are 7 total questions. Council members may ask follow-up questions based on applicant responses. Each interview is anticipated to last approximately 30 minutes. The initial vote. After all interviews are completed, the council may discuss the applicant's qualifications or they may proceed directly to voting. Each council member will complete a written ballot, which I have included in your packets, selecting one applicant. Ballots will then be handed to the mayor. The mayor will read aloud each council member's name and the applicant selected. The mayor does not vote unless necessary to break a tie. If an applicant receives a majority vote, which will be 3 or more votes, the appointment process concludes and the selected applicant will be sworn into office. Tie-breaking and additional voting procedures will be explained if necessary.
Okay, thank you. And it should be worth noting that Brian Bartholomew has pulled his application, so we are down to 7 applicants. We are going to invite all our applicants to go with Dave. We're going to go into the jury room, and we ask that you leave your cell phones in your pockets or turned off. Don't try to follow along and see the questions ahead of time. Try not to have family members texting you what's going on in here. This way, it's a fair process for everybody that they can all get the questions at the one time. And Dave is great company in there. He'll keep you all thoroughly entertained.
Good stories.
Yeah. All right. So if the applicants want to follow Dave, and then we do have Brent Call that'll be joining us online for Zoom for his first interview. But we'll give everyone a minute.
You guys gonna have a pizza party or what's going on? I don't know. I'm just wondering. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
All right, as we get ready to do the interviews, speaking with Ryan, question number 5 is redundant, kind of with number 4, so we're going to remove it from the packet. So when we get to that point, you all know which questions are yours, right?
Yeah.
I slightly reworded them a little bit for flow and to
Okay,
make
it doesn't-
sense and.
Are you saying I don't know how to write? Is that what you said?
No,
Oh, okay. It's true. I just wanted to make sure.
So we'll start with the first first question, and then when it's your turn to ask your question, feel free to ask it. We can either just work our way down or whatever order they come in. It's fine with me.
So we're asking our own question.
Mhm.
Okay, can I sit out then since mine's the redundant one?
Is it? Oh,
You can pick one of my
You-
3 that you
yeah.
put in
Oh,
there.
Fulver gave me, so you can have one of his.
And I believe mine is number 4, just worded in a slightly different way, right? Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure.
Which one do you want? Are we going? What are we doing?
So 1, 2, right? Or what's the process? We're gonna go through these questions real quick before we start.
I was trying to give her a thought.
Nope, you're gonna, you can.
I don't. I can ask all 3 if she doesn't want to ask. I don't care. I don't know.
We'll let Councilmember Watson decide.
I know. I'm trying.
Oh, that's the first.
Okay, so I'll start with
Okay,
2 or 3. Let's see.
so we'll just start with 1 and go through
Oh,
7.
you want to do it that way?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that way.
So you get to go
We'll keep it in
first.
order. Okay, we're ready, John.
So it's not letting me add him as a panelist, but he can hear and talk like normal folks who participate in the meetings do. So
All right. Thanks, Brent, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we've got a list of questions that we're going to ask you. You are allowed up to 5 minutes to address the council regarding your interest. So that's your first question is you get 5 minutes to address the council regarding your interest in serving on the city council. And then we'll ask you questions. And we have 6 questions and you're allowed up to 5 minutes per question. So feel free to start when you're ready.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to address the council. I'd like to start out by first thanking the mayor and the council for their service to the city. This is a unique opportunity for a member of the community to potentially serve on the city council without the challenge of going through an election process. I've read the applications of all of those who've applied, and I do not envy the difficult decision that you're facing. I'm impressed with the caliber of the applicants, and I think that any of those who have applied will be a good choice. Having said that, why should the city council decide to choose Brent Call over the other applicants? I believe that I bring some unique and valuable experience and insights to help the council feel the responsibility to the citizens of this great community. The council has a great duty to be able to balance the needs of the community against the rights of the citizens and also the laws of the federal government, the state government, and the county. And that carries some great weight and responsibility to be able to manage and balance all of those things. Well, I first moved to North Ogden as a teenager in the 70s. And during those formidable years, I experienced such a wonderful community that helped shape me for the rest of my life. North Ogden had then and still does have a sense of community that creates opportunities to build strong families. I've been a resident of North Ogden off and on for the last 40 years. I've raised my family in North Ogden and the surrounding communities. I've currently been a resident for the past 10 years. I think that gives me a unique perspective, as well as some of the other applicants of the growth, the evolution of the community, and also what makes North Ogden such a great community. I've always been impressed with the leadership of the city. There's very few things that have happened in the city that I felt like were not well thought out, well discussed, and sometimes very difficult decisions. Sometimes those decisions were not always what I had hoped would take place, but I applaud the council and past councils and mayors for the great efforts that they've made to continue the legacy and keep North Ogden as a great community. I've lived in other places as well, and my first choice is North Ogden. I also have 40 years of leadership experience as a business owner. I have been president and general manager of a multi-million-dollar company with a budget similar to the budget size of North Ogden. So I understand how budgeting works. I understand how to manage personnel. I understand how to write and manage processes and procedures. I understand what it's like to deal with customers, to deal with other city entities, and also the federal government. I work in the federal contracting arena, and so I'm very familiar with how to read, how to understand government regulations and processes. I'm reaching the end of my employment and looking for opportunities to serve. And I felt like this was a great opportunity to throw my hat in the ring and offer my services to the city as a member of the city council. I also had applied for the Planning Commission, and I'm pleased with the selections that you guys have made for the Planning Commission. I hope that I have an opportunity to serve the city. I want to keep North Ogden a great place to live. I want to continue the progress and help shape the city as we move into the future and as we address some of the challenges that come with the growth in the city. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm ready for your questions.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Watson.
Thank you. Thank you, Brent. Our first question is on zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there is adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
Well, I think that kind of depends on what you identify as the major corridors. Obviously, Washington Boulevard is the major corridor, and that should be set aside and designated mainly for economic development. I've seen the challenges that North Ogden has had in bringing in some good, strong businesses. I've been impressed with some of the development, but I've also seen those challenges. Along other corridors, obviously 2700, what lies within North Ogden is another great opportunity. And I think the council has a great responsibility in being able to shape how those corridors are used. I think there are probably some other opportunities on some of the other corridors, maybe upper 2600, maybe even up on the mouth of the canyon, that area. I know the city has some I believe they're called residential commercial zonings that I think are a great opportunity. I don't think those have really been utilized yet, but I can see opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
All right, next one is on property rights and state compliance. How would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements related to lot sizes, meaning smaller, and also affordable housing?
That's a good question and a very difficult one. And I know the Planning Commission has been over the last couple of months faced with some difficult choices and evaluations of some developments along 2100 and Fruitland Drive. I think that affordable housing really needs to be viewed, and I believe the general plan talks about this, that affordable housing needs to be viewed not just within the city limits, but within the surrounding community as well. Meaning, how do we fit in also with our neighbors and with Weber County in terms of affordable housing? And so it's got to be weighed very carefully how we zone and to get that affordable housing within the city. And again, I think the general plan has a really good discussion about that and about where should affordable housing be allowed. I know there's a tendency now to move towards smaller lots. A lot of people would prefer smaller lots. So I think there is some opportunities and some responsibility to create those kinds of communities, even though the adjoining zoning may not necessarily be those smaller lots. And that's a challenge. And as I mentioned in my comments, one of the responsibilities of the council and the planning commission is to balance the rights of the property owners to develop their property, also the rights of those that surround those developments, to ensure that what's being developed are going to be good neighbors and fit in with the feel of the surrounding neighborhoods, not be islands that are unique within the neighborhoods. And so there's all things that have to be weighed. And as it's been shown with those things that have come before the Planning Commission recently and will be coming in front of the council in the near future, those challenges can be formidable, and it's the council's responsibility to weigh and balance all of those things and make the best decisions. And like I said, each case is a little bit unique, and all of those things need to be weighed in the balance.
Okay, thanks.
Who's got question number 3?
I was planning on 4, but I can do 3 as well if I can do 3.
Well,
And I'm 7.
who submitted it?
I did. I can do.
All right, Chris, you're number 3 again.
each time.
Okay. All right. Round 2, fight. Okay, let's see. So council experience and continuity. With a relative short average tenure among the current council members, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
Well, as I mentioned in my opening statement, I bring 40 years of business leadership experience. I've also, as part of that leadership, have served on the board of directors for the company. I've also served on a few other boards. It's been a while since I've been on any boards, but I have served on in other organizations. And just those years of experience in leadership, having leadership training, and learning how to communicate with people, to see things from different perspectives, to balance the needs of all interested parties. I think that gives me an opportunity to share some of that with the council and to help the council in fulfilling their duties.
Thank you.
All right, Brent, this is Councilman Dalpass. How do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
My nature and evaluations that I've had as far as my leadership style is I'm very much an analytical person, and so I like to gather the data, the information from all perspectives, and understand what each interested party what is their skin in the game, what is it that they would like to see happen, what are their interests, and then also what is the laws or the rules or and the needs of the organization, in this case the needs of the city, the needs of other citizens within the city that may not be as vocal. Anyway, gathering all of that information together to then make a logical conclusion as to what I think the best outcome is going to be. And satisfying the loudest voices is often not the right decision. And you've got to be prepared to accept the criticism and whatever whatever criticisms are thrown at you when you make those decisions. I've been in that position many times and understand how that works and how to manage it.
All right, thank you. So what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work, and how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's processes and overall effectiveness?
I think that the council has been faced recently with some pretty challenging budgeting things, and I've been impressed with the council's discussion about road fees and some of the other fees to be able to manage the roads within the city that that definitely need some work and have fallen. I think have fallen behind a little bit in being able to manage those roads. That's obviously one of the things that need to be well managed within the city, and I know budgeting for that has been a very difficult challenge. So again, my experience in budgeting, understanding budgeting, how to perhaps find some funds in other locations. How can we better involve the citizens in understanding those kinds of things? I think that's an important thing, particularly when it comes to budgeting, is helping the citizens to understand what the challenges of the city are. And so I think that's one of the things that I could help out with. And one of the things that I've been very impressed with the council of recently that they've been managing and challenged with.
Okay, thank you.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
Well, the old adage of a win-win situation is always the best, and I honestly believe in that. The council isn't there to work against the city managers and the city employees. The council is there to help shape and guide the city, and obviously needs to have a good relationship with those employees. Again, I think the city's done a great job of managing. The interactions that I've had with city employees have always been very good, very professional. And so the council and the full-time employees of the city have got to work hand in hand. Obviously, the council is tasked with making sure that taxes and funds are spent wisely and judiciously. And again, as with making decisions, like we talked about earlier, sometimes there's going to be conflicts, and conflict's okay, as long as both parties are willing to sit down, discuss civilly the issues at hand, and make the best decisions for the entire organization. And again, I think that's something I can bring to the council.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the questions we have for you. Do you have anything you'd like to leave with us before your interview's over?
No, other than I'm sorry I missed the pizza party that's going on in the sequester room. I wish I could have been there in person, but unfortunately I did have this travel planned prior to the application process. Again, just thank you for your service, and I hope to have an opportunity to be able to be part of that service and lend my hand and my talents in helping to shape the city.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. So now we'll move on to Kevin Burns. Yes.
allotted for the opening and the closing comments?
5 minutes. Closing is more if there's time. They get 30 minutes total.
Thank you.
So if they take all the questions, yeah.
Right there at the microphone.
All right.
All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you.
We're gonna have 6 questions that we're gonna ask, but before we do, we're gonna give you 5 minutes to wow us with what you have presented for us.
You know what? And I could wow you in 6, but I don't think I can do it in 5.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I'm Kevin Burns. And it's hard to do an introduction with this group because we've all worked together on a number of things. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling you who I am, what I'm about. We just went through a campaign where we did a lot of that. And I know we've all sat and listened to it. And I know we have an audience, but my job is not to wow them. My job is to wow you. I don't know that I will, but so why? Why am I the best candidate for this position? Preparation for the first part. I have been involved in local politics at the city level, the county level, for almost 3 decades, working with a number of city councils and county commissions. I have been part of nonprofit boards, appointed, reappointed, and promoted within those boards. I currently sit as the board chair for the Weber County Ramp Board, which is a tax dollar distribution. This year, we're looking to distribute about $6.5 million, so it's not pocket change. I've been asked to be promoted to take the position of the vice chair position of the Weber Housing Authority. Again, distributing tax dollars and working with that organization. Spent 15 years with the Goal Foundation. That's the foundation that organized the Ogden Marathon. And I worked on that when there weren't employees, when it was a new thing, and we built the Ogden Marathon. So I've been heavily involved in my community for a number of years. I sat on the Public Safety Building Committee right here in North Ogden for this building, appointed by then Mayor Chugg. And so just examples of things I've participated in. I think I've proven myself as being a value to the community. I talk about ramp. I'm the guy that your staff calls when they have a ramp question, when they want to help, when they want some advice on maximizing their applications. And I think it's great. Not just your staff, but I have, folks from around the county that call and ask for help. You've been in meetings where I have been called upon by the mayor to please make a comment about whatever it is we're talking about. So I must have something to offer. I know that we just went through a very difficult campaign season. Campaigning is a lot of work, but our particular campaign went really well. I thought that we campaigned really well together. There was 4 of us campaigning for city council. And even though at one point we did have one individual that did try to cause a little trouble and pit us against each other a little bit for some clickbait, we didn't allow it to happen. And we said, hey, we're not going to do that. And I think that's indicative of how we could work together as a council. I love North Ogden. I have lived here. I raised family here. This is where I raised my children. And I just love being involved and working. I think I have a lot to offer when it comes to decision-making, budgeting. I have spent years sitting in the peanut gallery and participating at any level that I can. So I just really want I really want the chance to work with you. I know there might be the question of, well, hey, we can't appoint you to the council because you weren't elected. But I'd like to point out that it was really close. We still pulled 1,940 votes, which is a pretty good pull from North Ogden. We were only just less than 2 points, just less than 2 percentage points out of the second place. And so I think that's valuable. But if you feel like, hey, we can't appoint you because you weren't elected, I would also like to say, I just don't think I should be punished for it either. The work has been done. There was a lot of work. So clearly, none of you appear to be wowed, but hey, I'll let you, you ask your questions and then we'll do our thing. I'm just happy to be here and be part of the process and continue to try to work and serve the citizens of North Ogden.
Thank you.
I've got the first question. It's on zoning and economic development. How do you, I gotta be close to the mic, but far from my paper. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there is adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
I don't know that I understand the question. How do I view zoning? What?
The zoning primarily along the corridors, the city's primary corridors.
Yeah, like Washington 2700, when you're looking at what is currently and what's the plan for the future?
So I know that just with the way the budget works, we have to have some tax base. And there's been some great progress made. I think there's a lot of work that can be done down in the village of Prominence, whatever the name of it is at this point, down there, 1700 North area. But I would like to see some businesses that can help support some tax base. I know we all need banks, but they don't provide a whole lot of sales tax. We've got there's been a lot of great work right there along 2600 North with the new restaurants and some things coming in. I know that we have to do some work to get the pond moved so that we can develop that piece of property, because that's a huge piece. The pond project has been in the works for a long time. And I think it's important to get that basic piece done so that we can develop that piece of property. We don't have a lot of commercial space to take advantage of. I would wait to comment on one piece that I kind of have my eye on for a project, but I'm not going to share it here. It's kind of it's one of those that comes from Scott's map that he likes to show from like 1964 of what they thought the city was going to look like. So, but I'm supportive of working well with developers. I had the opportunity to sit here before in the peanut gallery when there was an individual that came in and was trying to build a 7-Eleven. If y'all remember, the 7-Eleven tried to put it in at 1700 North, and they kind of moved it around, and there was just a lot of work that went in, and I kind of felt bad for the developer. And we talked about it a couple times, man, because he took a beating. And I just don't think it should be that hard. And he must not have regret too much, because he's the current developer of the Barker area. So it's the same kid, but good kid. But man, he took a beating trying to get that 7-Eleven in there. And I just don't feel like he needed to take the beating that he took. We need their help, and they're looking for our help. So that's that.
Okay. See, next one is on property rights and state compliance. How would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements related to lot sizes, meaning smaller, and affordable housing?
So what lot size are you talking?
A lot smaller than people like.
So the last bill I read, I saw 5,400 square feet as the kind of where they're headed with the statewide recommendation. And I will tell you, I moved to North Ogden in 1989. And I will freely tell you that I would like to find everybody that moved here after me and ask them to move someplace else. But you know what? So would the guy that moved here in 1988 and the guy that moved here in 1987. I understand it's not realistic and development is coming and the houses are being built. Like when I moved here, there was just somewhere between 11 and 12,000 people in North Ogden. There's now what, 23,000, pushing 23,000. It's almost doubled in size. A lot of houses. I understand that our target for the state is first-time home buyers, providing housing for that market, not townhomes, not apartments. We have plenty of townhomes and apartments in our community and in our county that sit vacant. It's not too hard to drive around and find, vacant townhomes. Our real target is those entry-level homes that would be the 5,000, 5,500, square foot lot and an entry level. And so I'm supportive of that in most areas. I think a lot of it depends on how far up the hill we are and where we are in relationship to those types of sensitive areas. But certainly every development needs to be weighed and viewed individually. But not a fan of the townhomes for the most part off of the main corridors. I can be swayed a little bit only because I recently drove through Syracuse where they currently have 32,000 residents, and that was my bird hunting fields when I was young. And there's townhome developments out there that they just don't look as bad as I expect them to. But I do understand that, folks have the right to develop their property within our zoning. We do have to, we work with them and come up with the best option for them and for our residents. So I think it's important to take care of our residents. That means when a developer shows up from outside of North Ogden, I get a little annoyed, but I understand that's just part of life. It kind of gets frustrating to have developers coming in from all over the state telling us what we need to have in our city for them. And so I just work with the best I can to work with the council to meet the needs that we have. So
I also get the next one. With a relatively short average tenure with the current council members, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
So I started working with my first city council in 1999. Marriott Slaterville was a brand new city, and I was working at the sheriff's office and assigned to be their precinct sergeant. And so I started working with then brand new mayor, brand new council, brand new city attorney, and got quite a bit of experience from then on working with different personalities in councils and mayors and city managers. So I understand that the personalities, every personality of a council is different. At one point, I was working with 8 different city councils and 8 different mayors, and they all had different personalities. And so it's just important to be able to work within that. So one of the skills I bring is I know a lot of people in the county. I know a lot of people that work in cities and in government and interact with them on a regular basis. I attend WACOG meeting from time to time and sit in their peanut gallery. That's just kind of sit there in the crowd and participate as much as I can. It's kind of I don't know if it's an illness, but I almost 3 decades of dealing with, of working with city councils, county commissions, run for office a couple of times and had a lot of background there. I have sat through, I don't know how many, 8 years of city council meetings here in North Ogden, participating, going through the budget season, attending the all-day meetings in the winter when you do your workshop, and watching you eat lunch. And I watched you eat lunch, right? Just kidding. So yeah, that's the kind of background I bring to a city council. I'm ahead of a learning curve for city council I can move in today. I could take a seat today and make informed decisions and votes on topics that are in front of you, because I have been paying attention and watching and participating in all of your meetings. So
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Regarding decision-making under public pressure, how do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
So it comes from everyday decision making. It's important that you build your reputation on your early decisions so that when it comes time for a bigger decision, a more difficult decision, the folks will know that you've thought it through and you've done the best that you can with what you have at hand. They may not like your decision. Sometimes that's what's going to happen. And that is actually, anybody can do this job when times are good and decisions are easy. The difficulty comes in when it's, you really earn it. You earn all that money, all of it, when times are tough and decisions are tough. And I once mentioned, I said, hey, look, it's just business. It's not personal. And I was heavily chastised out in the parking lot for it. I was like, hey, but I still believe that it's business. And we have to do the business of the city. That's the job, to do the business of the city. And I'm in year 37 of a law enforcement career. I have had people unhappy with my decisions before. I have made decisions that have made people unhappy. And I've had people call me nasty names. And it's not nice, but it happens. So a thick skin is important, and it's not personal. But I think it's important to lay the groundwork for those decisions, like everything else. If you make the good decisions each day in our lives, just in general, then when it's time to make the tough one, I think people will give you a little bit of leeway that you're doing the right thing. So.
Okay, thank you. Council effectiveness and continuous improvement. So what strengths do you see the city council's recent in the city council's recent work, and how would you as a council member contribute to further improve our processes?
I think the council has gotten better at asking the right questions. From my perspective, their questions have become much better. I really like the decision that was made to make Barker Park a priority and move forward with that. It's one of those things that's something has to be done, or we have to get away from it. So I think communication amongst the council during meetings has become a little clearer and a little more focused than maybe it was sometimes. I also think maybe the council, just because of the makeup and the personalities, maybe a little easier to talk to directly. So, and I'm pretty easy to talk to myself. I mean, that's the kind of what I'm pretty easy to talk to. People like to tell me things. It's so there you go.
All right, thank you.
It's too bad you didn't have the cameras running in the room back there. That would have been good for you, just so you know. You could have seen how that went. But
We're missing out
it's
on a good time.
the unofficial interview. Yeah,
Who says we aren't? Anyway.
that's true.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
So I would like to help staff learn how to prepare themselves to leave. And I mean that at a retirement point, or better themselves. And so when it has to do with the retirement funding and the money management and stuff, and making sure that they're supported in learning how and educating them on how to leave when it's time, at the end of 30 years or 35 years, or but being able to afford that opportunity and take advantage of things that the city can offer them to help them prepare for that. I have been a government employee most of my life, so I understand how difficult it can be for a city council or a county commission, was my example. They just don't always see eye to eye, right? Employees want one thing, and sometimes you just can't afford it, and it's tough to make those decisions. But I think, again, as long as the staff knows that you're trying on a day-to-day basis, at some point you might have to make a tough decision. And it's generally going to revolve around pay. You know, pay is the biggie. And so pay and benefits are tough. But I think as long as you're trying and you're doing you're doing the very best you can, resources are tight everywhere. And you look at the pay situation around the state, particularly, the biggie is law enforcement, right? But that's not the only thing that makes a city run. Every employee, if every employee that's working for the city doesn't have a responsibility, then we don't need that employee, right? They should have a responsibility to make the city run smoothly and efficiently and be the place that we want to live. But the council also serves the citizens, has to serve the citizens first. Employees are an important part of that service, but the service is to the citizens first. That's the first responsibility. But that doesn't mean the employees cannot be taken care of and valued across the board, every one of them, from the top to the bottom. And yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Thank you.
I had another thing, but I'm going to leave it there.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, that's the last of our tough questions. So is there anything you'd like to leave with us?
So I've had a lot of opportunity to spend time around the council and in here, and I was talking to Councilmember Watson before the meeting, and I said, look, this will be really nice to have this process over with, however it plays out, so y'all can stop acting weird at city council meeting and avoiding me, because you have. So I hope you give me a real fair look. I've been involved. I really do. I value the opportunity to participate, and just look forward to working with you in the future, however it works out. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Okay, moving on to Zach Ward. Oh, Dave's watching. Wow.
Dave is always listening.
I know.
Dun, 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 dun.
Come on in.
Good evening.
Zach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Oh.
All right, Zach. So we've got 6 questions we're going to ask you, but before we do, we're going to give you up to 5 minutes to tell yourself. And
You guys know me, I don't take full 5 minutes or even 3 minutes. So,
okay, so go ahead. You can start now.
all right, I'm Zach Ward. I ran for North Ogden City Council because municipal government has the most direct impact on residents. And as someone with a family, as many of us do, I am worried about how my daughter will afford to live in the city when she is older, if she so chooses. I currently work as a mail carrier right here in North Ogden, which means I've talked with residents, heard their stories and concerns, and have had learned what really matters to them in this city. In the past, I spent 12 years working at Pepsi in various positions, including management and sales, where I learned a lot about businesses in the area. Before that, I spent 2 years working in the oil fields in North Dakota, which taught me problem solving and perseverance in challenging situations. I'm actively involved in grassroots organizations in the area, which foster community building. I also served as a union steward. I stepped away to focus more on the city, but I also served as a union steward at the post office, advocating for the rights of my fellow workers and making sure everyone has a voice. I am currently the chair of the Weber County Labor Caucus as well, and I fight for workers' rights every day as well. These experiences have strengthened my leadership skills and my commitment to servicing others. Oh yeah, and I'm also the treasurer for the NALC. So I go over the budget with them. Been doing that for about a year now.
For who?
Huh?
For who is it?
Oh, sorry. I'm the treasurer for the Northern Utah Labor Council. I just told you the abbreviation. Sorry. All right, so I'm passionate about community involvement, making sure people feel heard and valued. If selected, I commit to listening to residents, solving problems, and supporting our community, showing up every day to do the work that matters. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'm excited to answer your questions.
Thank you. We'll start with Councilmember Watson.
So the first question's on zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there's adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
I think the general plan is pretty good right now. I would support more ordinances that are more friendly to businesses, that less guardrails, I would say, as long as it doesn't hurt the residents in the city itself. Also, I would support more more like a package, a booklet to attract businesses. Because like I said, I think the general plan and the zoning, is really good. I just think we need to work more on attracting businesses.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trying to write and talk at the same time. Okay, so for next one is on property rights and state compliance. How would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements related to lot sizes, smaller lot sizes basically, and affordable housing?
Sorry, I got tons of notes. I heard you're a notes guy too, Pulver.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see, I do have kind of a plan. I would say that we need to comply with the state regulations, keep complying with them. Which, as you said, encourages smaller lots and diversified housing. We do have a good amount of townhomes right now in North Ogden. And as being a mail carrier, a lot of them seduce it empty. I do see it. So I don't think we really need more townhomes per se. So I would be pushing more for the smaller homes. I would like to focus on smaller entry-level homes to where they make sense. And when it comes to residents wanting to develop their land, it's important that we work with them, but also try to balance the needs and wants of the residents. And we also have to follow local and state laws as well. Make sure we're still in compliance.
Awesome. Okay. Next one is also so what a relatively short average tenure among the current council members, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
A lot of it comes with my experience with North Dakota. Like I said, it taught me it was fast-paced, hard, concise, planning. And then I really think what I can provide to the city is my 12 years at Pepsi. I have a lot of experience with businesses as far as restaurants. Obviously we don't want any more gas stations, but just kind of like a general pool. And so I think that I could really be helpful as far as to bring in just businesses in us. I have plans of trying to get an incentive package, and I think we need to have a clear, concise way of businesses to come to our city. So when they come in, maybe they could be like, hey, I'm interested in opening this business, and we can just hand them a packet, right? And just give them all of the regulations, ordinances, and what we require them to do, and then state laws, and then whatever funding, if we do, you know what I mean? Just something to help them, because I have been reaching out, because even though I didn't win the last election, obviously, I still want to help out with the businesses, right? So I have been reaching out to some of my contacts, and they have told me, and these aren't local, but they're just people I thought would maybe want to come in. They tell me that they just feel like it's not business friendly. That's just the vibe. And whether if not that's true, that's just the vibe they've been telling me. So
thank you.
All right, perfect. Regarding decision-making under public pressure, how do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
Well, you have to listen, first of all, but I have the 2 years of experience that I've gained from being a union steward, there's been lots of heated debates. And so my approach to it is I'm just a really cool, calm, collective guy. And so that's how I approach it. And so I just keep a level head and I de-escalate, and then we can usually come to an agreement. And yeah. So it just, I fight, like even with the labor, with the Northern or the Weber County Labor Chair, I call representatives every day, and that's a lot of fun. But so there are some avenues there. Like I could even call, I called John Johnson about the tax law, right, that we just missed out on. So it's just, I mean, I do it anyways, but I could be of use there too. So.
Okay, thank you. So in with dealing with council effectiveness, what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work? And secondly, how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's processes and effectiveness?
So I really, there's a lot. You guys have been doing really well, and I've been getting active since January of last year, to be honest. I mean, most of you already know that when we were running the campaign. And so you guys have been doing really well. Like, I'm not just saying that. I enjoy the parks that you guys have been doing. And then like just with the Barker Park, the splash pad, and just the event, like it's just great for the city, right? And so I do have a background in art as well, and I could use that to bring in stuff for Barker Park. I could do it anyways, but I just have, there's a ton of different ideas of how bringing revenue in. So.
Thank you.
All right, support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
I'm all about staff. My management style is retention, not replacement. So I would make sure, obviously, they're following what they're doing. And I mean, the city council really doesn't manage them. It's just over the budget. So, but they would have my full support. I mean, as a union steward, I'm pro worker, but I'm also not afraid to hold like accountable if something egregious happens. So.
Okay, thank you. That's the last of our tough questions. Anything you'd like to leave with us?
Thank you for the opportunity. You guys have lots of candidates, good candidates. I was talking to them in the back. They're pretty good group of guys. So you have a tough choice, and I know you guys will make the best choice.
We heard there was a party back there.
Yeah. I told them I was gonna leave and go get a snack and then come back. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Steve Neighbor.
We've been sequestered before. That's interesting. But very, very good though. I got to meet some interesting people.
Well, Stephen, thanks for joining us tonight and for putting in for council. We're going to ask you 6 questions, but before we do, we'll give you the opportunity to explain who you are and why you're here. You got
Okay.
up to 5 minutes.
Okay, well, Ryan said I had 2 questions I had to deal with. First thing was why I was interested, and then why it would be a good fit. I remember those words very carefully, so that's how I've developed this. But I have a short 5-minute time frame, so I'm going to talk very quickly. And I'm going to start off really with just a little bit of background information on myself. Excuse me. I was raised in Davis County, first generation high school graduate. I'm a Clearfield Falcon, also a first generation college graduate from Weber State. I'm a Weber State Wildcat. I have an MBA from Utah State, and I'm a CPA. I married my high school sweetheart, who's in the audience with us tonight, Debbie Kohler, and we've been married for 47 years. She's clearly my better half, and she's always my compass to make sure I'm in the right, going the right direction on decisions. We raised 3 children. I have my daughter with me tonight that we raised them in our community, Andrea, Darren, and Austin, and I have 6 grandchildren. And Debbie and I have lived in North Ogden for 32 years. So, first question, what is my interest in serving on the North Ogden City Council? My response to this is very simple. I have a sincere interest and feel a personal responsibility to give back to my community. And I have to share that our prior mayor, Neil Berube, inspired me to get involved. During this campaign, I asked Neil, how are you going to be the mayor and maintain a full-time job, Neil? That makes no sense to me. So he indicated he was retiring from his current job, and he felt the need to give back to the community that had given him so much, him and his family so much. So I really liked that comment, and it kind of inspired me to keep my options open for service to my community. When the position for the North Ogden Planning Commission came open, I looked at that. Now that was a hard application to fill out. And many of you interviewed me. That was one of the hardest interviews I've ever been at in my 43 years of working, but it was very interesting. I have to say my experience on the Planning Commission has been just kind of a remarkable experience for me. And I was so impressed with our city manager. I wish he wasn't here to hear this, but it's true. The economic development staff have been amazing. The other commissioners have been amazing. And I see that giving me experience that I never had and kind of opened the door a little bit when this opportunity opened up a little bit. So with the election of our mayor, congratulations, Mayor Barker. I made application and it was kind of an unexpected opportunity. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for that. That looks very interesting and kind of expanded my opportunity of engagement by applying. Okay. Why would I be a good fit for the city council position? First, a quick note. I have about this much information on that I'm squeezing like this. So I ask that you all will look at my application and see the detail and depth of some of my responses, but I'm going to be very brief. So item number one, my experience on the North Ogden Planning Commission. Again, that has been a remarkable experience to give me information and experience to be successful as a city council member. So I think that lines me up very well. Number two, I have related executive experience working at Weber State University, a not-for-profit, state-supported educational institution. Serving at various times of my career as the chief financial officer, the vice president for financial services, the controller, and the director of internal audit has given me a wide variety of a wide array of experience that's related to very similar to a city administration. I've always said an institution of higher ed, especially supported by state funds, it mimics a local governmental unit. So the financial reporting, fund accounting are similar. The budgeting element are similar. And the restrictions on investments and procurement, we all have to operate under the same protocol there. So my experience at Weber State University has been very, very related and applicable to, it would help me if I was on the city council.
That's about 5 minutes.
Is that 5 minutes right
Yeah.
there?
You'll have a chance to have closing
yeah,
comments at the
Okay,
end.
Yeah.
well,
We'll give
not even
you a
5
minute.
seconds left, huh? Okay, well, you've looked at my application. There's a lot of economic development, community development, and other backgrounds there that would be very uniquely applicable to me being on the committee. Okay, so
Thank you.
I'm open for questions.
All right.
That went fast. Is
Yes.
that a stopwatch there or what? But I'm sorry, I'm open for questions.
I have the first question.
Okay,
It's on zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there's adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
so I'm very familiar with, so being on the planning commission, I always have the financial perspective. I probably drive them nuts there. So it was very interesting to hear John tell me that and to read our previous mayor's newsletter that said, citizens of North Ogden, our property taxes are higher than most of the cities around us because our sales tax isn't as high as some of these other cities. So we have to be very conscientious about building an economic base to help that for our citizens. So as I've looked at that zoning map that gets famously distributed, there are areas there that can be developed. And I would say also the Wasatch Regional Council has also endorsed some of those spaces. So I would say rather than reinvent the wheel, I think we already have some modeling there that we could utilize to help develop economic development commercialization to help us with that budgetary challenge that we probably should take a look at and try to help the budget. So I hope I answered that question. Okay.
Okay, so on property rights and state compliance, how would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements, mostly related to, small lot sizes and affordable housing that they're pushing?
So I bet we all watched the governor's opening address at the legislature. Did everybody listen to that? Do you know what he said? The number one priority of the state was affordable housing. And he said, I quote, "We will not be a city, we will not be a state of renters." So that I knew was a pretty high priority for the state, but I was kind of shocked that that's the number one priority. So I've been on the Planning Commission, and I have sat through 2.5 open meetings where that exact discussion came up for a lot of discussion and people that had some strong opinions there. So first, I believe in property rights. And I think maybe some of that got lost a little bit in those discussions that we were listening to. I think one of our commissioners tried to emphasize that, but that kind of got lost a little bit. But I also believe that when you're looking at affordable housing, you can't just place that any place that a developer might want. I think it has to fit in, and I think it has to be done very strategically. It has to be an informed discussion with a lot of input from our citizens, and it has to be strategic. I remember one meeting we talked about the higher you go up the mountain on housing, it's going to be less affordable just because of the geography of it. So maybe you start looking at areas of the city that maybe it might make a little bit more sense for a little bit more high density. But that is going to be an interesting dilemma the city is going to have to deal with, because the political pressures from the governor of substantial. I wonder how much authority they really have on us. I don't know. Somebody might sue the governor or something on that, but that's going to be interesting. So I think we have to be very thoughtful and well-informed, make well-informed the decisions to address that.
Thank you. So I got the next one too. So council experience and continuity, I'm reading that. Anyway, with relatively short average tenure amongst us youngins up here, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
If I would have had a little more time in that 5 minutes, I could have answered that a little bit better, but now you're giving me an opportunity. I think my experience at Weber State University provides me with a unique background that would support if I'm selected to be on the city council. And I think a lot of my financial background would help us really in probably financial oversight responsibilities. I think my background, I was a guy at Weber State that if somebody did something bad, I would have to take over that operation. Well, I became the economic development director, not because I volunteered, but because the president asked me to do it. But immediately when I was given that assignment, from an economic development perspective, we knew we had to support our community. And what we did, we looked at supporting and developing two ecosystems, the small business ecosystem, small business and entrepreneurial ecosystem, as well as the defense military ecosystem. And what we did there is we looked at what the university could do there, and we came up with some amazing projects. We have, and you'll be able to look at the way I answered to some of we started Startup Ogden in downtown Ogden to help small businesses. We have launched over 500 companies out of the city to other offices to help them when they started flourishing. So that's been amazingly successful. The other thing that we did there is, if you can imagine, if you're familiar with Hill Air Force Base, they make a difference of $13 billion on the economy of Utah. They're the biggest employer in the state of Utah. And they asked for some space in Startup Ogden. So after some negotiation, we allowed the software development group there to come in, set up a shop, and they help small businesses with technology and helping the government defend our country. It was so successful, we started a Startup Davis, and we also, the state of Utah gave us $20 million to set up a secure facility. And I, being the economic development and the chief financial officer, I have managed that in a way to try to get that set up. And again, that's to benefit that ecosystem, small business as well as the defense. So I have a lot of experience there, connection points. And North Ogden is a little bit further, but I'm not so sure it's out of reach, in my opinion, for that kind of economic development from that military defense ecosystem. I think we'll have to be innovative and think about that. But I think we should always be willing to help small businesses. So, any other lingering questions on that?
No, that's
Like,
awesome. I think,
okay.
yeah, I think the biggest thing on there is the fact that, experience is always good for what we're trying to get from here on out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Great. I am going to ask you about a fun topic, decision-making under public pressure.
Oh,
How do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
so I'm going to take down, maybe give you an example that I've had to deal with at the university. And sometimes you get very upset students or parents. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit more simple, but I think it'll show you how I approach things. So number one, I never lose my temper. I always keep my composure, because I know if you lose that, you've lost the whole discussion. So I will never make an immediate decision. I will research and make an informed decision. I will always do that. Let me give you an example. It's a little smaller than what you're asking, Jay, but I think it reflects. So I had a parent show up in my office one day, and they demanded their money back for their student, their son's tuition. Their son who isn't. So I said, well, you'll have to go through a process. There's appeals process. He said that his student didn't go to class one day at the university and went to his friend's house and played video games. And he was a full-time student. So the dad paid his tuition. And I said, I first going to have to research this. So I researched it and found out it was true. And when I met with the parents again, I said, I would be upset at my son also if he did that. But that issue is between you and your son. And the university reserved a spot for him and guaranteed that. So we did our responsibility. And so I did the research. It was not a popular decision, but I had to explain that to him, and he was upset. And of course, he went to the president, but the president backed me up. So sometimes I think an informed decision is good policy. Don't lose your temper. And you have to do what's in the best interest always of the university, or the city. My leadership compass will always focus in on what's in the best interest of the city, always. And I don't think you'll ever have to apologize. People might be mad at you, but that sometimes comes with the territory. Okay.
Thank you.
Tara, you up next?
No, actually, we're mixing it up a little bit. We're talking about council effectiveness. What strengths do you see in the city council's recent work, and how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's process and effectiveness?
So from a distance, I've always observed the city council, and I've always been very comfortable with how you've dealt with some tough issues over 32 years that we've lived here. I mean, Barker Park, the facilities building. I'm not sure if maybe John was in place there. I'm not sure you guys were council people there, but it always felt like the right decision was made. It might not be the popular decision, but it was always made. Repeat your question one more time, Brian.
Okay, so what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work?
Okay, I would say what I see is a strong process in place. So I'm a process guy. So if you stick to a process, that process, if it's broad enough and involved enough, is always going to yield the best decision. And so being on the planning commission, I saw an interesting process take place because I thought that planning commission, because I was learning, it felt like they were operating a little bit independent, but it was interesting to see the staff and the city manager explain this, the legislative and the other parts of that, and they always remind us, and how connected, while it's independent, it's connected with the city council. So I saw decisions made, at least at that level, in a very strong process back and forth. The one thing I was probably most impressed with, and I was a little bit quiet on this because I was observing, but that collaboration meeting the planning council had with the city, probably in October or so, that was an amazing, and it was nice to hear the city council say how important the planning commission is in the process to support the right decision being made. So I saw, and I expect that process exists in other areas. I see some of the committees, we have an audit committee and things like that. So it looks like there's process in place to make good decisions. It might not be popular, but I saw a very strong process with the planning commission. I was very impressed with that.
Okay, thank you.
Now it's my turn.
Okay.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
Yeah. So, and I think I've commented on this a little bit. Number one, being on the planning commission, I've seen a very competent staff. I think we're very fortunate to have a city manager. I always thought it was strange to have city manager that was the attorney. That seemed odd to me. But I can see he handles that very well, and it makes him more useful and effective, at least from the planning commission, I'm sure with the city council. I've seen the staff in the economic development area. Wow. Scott Hess and Ryan, they have to know so much stuff on this planning and laws, and it's shocking. So I've seen the competency there, and I see how that green plant's being run up there. That is an amazing benefit for this community. I see cherry days. I see all these amazing processes, and it feels like we have a highly efficient, competent staff working for us. So with that, we have to ensure that we're competitive in our salaries, and that's always a challenge. Maybe we can get a little bit more economic development to open that up a little bit. And we have, the other thing I would say, it feels like when I'm observing, there's a healthy culture with the staff. I don't know how you all feel, but that's my impressions. When I talk with Dave in the little room over here, he was the friendliest guy. And then he tells me he's the assistant city manager. Yeah. So that's great. So I've seen so much competency. So it doesn't feel like we have an issue with, I mean, we'll always have problem children, right? But it feels like we're very competent there. So again, retainage in having a good culture, and we have to be competitive in our salaries. And that's challenging, but I think maybe there's ways to augment that in other ways too. Maybe, it doesn't always have to be in your paycheck. There could be other ways to do that as well. So non-cash recognition maybe also. So,
All right.
Tara, did I answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
That's all our tough questions. So now you got time to,
To go down and listen to everybody else, huh?
or you can, if you have anything else you'd like to add or share
Well,
with
no,
us.
all I would say in closing, thank you for this opportunity to apply. And this process, well, I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work. It actually did work. And Dave was a very good host, and your questions are fair. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we'll have Douglas Nandel.
Hi, I guess I'm next.
Yep,
I'm Doug
you-
Nandel.
You get to come and join us again. Thank you.
So, of course, Mayor, you know me from interviewing for the Planning Commission. And so I'm like a bad dream. I keep coming back and back and back and back, and you'll see me more.
Well,
So
we'll give you a few minutes to explain who you are, and then we got a couple questions for you. So we'll give you 5 minutes to explain who you are and why you're here.
okay. So, first, I kind of want to explain actually things I'm not. So I'm not a CEO. I'm not filthy rich. I'm not a large manager of anything. I actually work for Waste Management. So talking trash, I know a lot about trash. So I know a lot about the trash industry. But the things I am patriotic. I am a veteran. I served 20 years in the Army. I'm also very good at listening, like Ken Garf. I listen to a lot of things. I hear a lot of things. So one of my other qualities that I'm very honest and loyal, sometimes to a fault. The other thing that I am is very frugal. One of my big things I want to do if I were to get on the council is there's things I think we can do to save some money. I know one of the things you guys did discuss was joining forces with Pleasant View for the police. That would be a good idea. Also, possibly, we could share some equipment between cities because not every city needs to own their own equipment. Several cities could actually share because how many times do you really need a crack sealing machine? You only need about 3 weeks out of the year. So if you went in with another city on buying some of that equipment or even sharing people, water callouts in the middle of the night, you could work with Ogden, you could work with some of the other cities around us that may be able to help with that. One thing I am kind of let me rephrase that, against I was against this building. I thought that the previous building could have been remodeled. I think this was kind of a little excessive, but also the other thing I am against is the transportation impact fee, the $120 a year. That $10 a month may seem small, but for some of our elderly people, especially those on fixed income, that $10 a month can be their milk, their bread, their lunch meat, the things that they're eating. And I also am very good at working under pressure. I spent a year in Iraq, and as a combat medic, and just I can work under pressure. And I work, as I said, I work for Waste Management. So things I am looking for is I'd also like to get recycling back. It's been said that there's nowhere to haul it. That is not true. That is 100% not true. All of Roy, Harrisville, Marriott Slaterville, all of that recycle, which comes from Weaver County, actually goes to Layton and is recycled. So I think that some people saying that there's not options for it. There is options for it. Also, with Robinson Waste that just opened up a transfer station in Ogden, there's some opportunity there for recycle. So I would love to bring back curbside recycle. Even if it was a small increase in fees, I'd go for that. And now I'm gonna open it up for, and I do have a college degree from Western Illinois University. So.
Thank you. I have your first question. It's about zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there's adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
That is actually very important. And I know that it's been discussed many times, especially along Washington Boulevard. I would see if we could, there's some areas where there would be opportunity for development or redevelopment in that Washington Boulevard corridor. Also, with the up and coming developments that we've had on 2700 North, keep doing those and keep zoning those. And yeah, that's the biggest thing. You have to have business. That's what's going to keep your property taxes down is bringing more business to North Ogden. So any way we can bring more business, the better off we're going to be.
Okay, so this one's on property rights and state compliance. How would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements related to lot sizes, meaning smaller, and affordable housing?
So I'm actually glad you asked that question. So actually, currently I live in Ward Farms, which backs up to the Atkinson Pauling property. So my backyard is actually one of those properties that's they're discussing right now, developing. And it's not that we're against development, because we're not. We're just wanting it to be compatible, and that's the thing with with building, especially even with property rights. We're not against developing it. It needs to be compatible with the surrounding zones. And I know the governor's pushing an agenda, and the media is pushing an agenda, but I think we should let those people develop, but it needs to be compatible with what is around it and what the services we have can support. The schools, because nobody thinks about the schools, but they're affected by that. If you build too many things too fast, the schools, even like Green Acres, where my son attends school, it's packed. It is packed. There is talk about putting portables out back, but even to get those in is a wait. So it is a fine line to walk, that the governors, mandate. It really is a fine line to walk. I mean, it's, as I said, you can't be too anti-development, but I mean, not everybody's going to be happy everywhere you put it.
I am going to do a follow-up on this. So what would you do?
For what?
For if someone says, like in your backyard, we're doing something sort of similar to what you have. This complies more with what the governor wants to do and what the state is pushing. How do you?
Well,
what would you do?
The problem with that particular is that there's R18 and R112 or R110, I believe, and they're wanting to put R14 in. That's not compatible with what's there. So,
But that's what the governor wants.
I understand that what the governor wants.
I'm pushing.
However, Does the governor live in North Ogden?
True, but he holds the revenue streams. I'm
He
trying to
does.
just make a point, but
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
Yes, but then there is some opportunities, especially on what they're building over near the theater, where that could be attainable housing and some of the areas back near Prominence Point, which also qualify.
Oh, I got the next one too. Sorry.
You're good.
But thank you. I hadn't done that yet, but I think, there was a lot of things. And so I just wanted to, you did the right thing.
You're
Okay.
good.
So council experience and continuity, with relatively short average tenure, amongst the current council members that we have here, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
So, before I moved to North Ogden, I lived in Roy. I was on the planning commission in Roy. I was also vice chair of the planning commission in Roy for 2 years. I was on their planning commission for 4. During my period of time on the Roy City Planning Commission, we had a major plan update. There was a master transportation plan update. There was also updated to several ordinances, including sign ordinance that we changed massively. We basically rewrote the whole thing. And also major developments that came in, especially around the front runner. And now they're actually seeing all of those through.
Thanks.
All right, I have the next question for you, sir. Decision making under public pressure. How do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
Like I said before, it is a balancing act. You have to listen. You have to listen to what the residents want. And then you have on one hand, and then on the other hand, you have mandates and what landowners want. So it's a really hard balancing act. And sometimes with disagreements, somebody's going to lose. Somebody is not going to get what they want. And there's going to be people that are not happy. No matter what decision you make, there's going to be some people who are not happy. But we have to do what is best for the majority and not the minority. Sometimes you have to do what's best for the majority, and there's going to be not happy people, and that, unfortunately, decisions have to be made.
Thank you.
All right. Speaking about council effectiveness, what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work? And secondly, how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's processes and effectiveness?
Could you repeat that?
So first, what strengths have you seen in the city council's recent work? And then secondly, how would you help improve that?
One of the things I have seen recently is, especially with working with like Pleasant View on a police type merger, and working with governments, that's a strong plus. And also, with the budgetary constraints, especially with the pool and the possible covering of the pool, and you guys made a great decision on saying no. I think it was $1.3 million to cover the pool, which you guys said no. Well, up to, I guess, was 1.3 or 1.6. I think was a great decision. And the budget is another big thing with trying to keep taxes down, for especially it's unsustainable to keep raising them. Some of our neighboring towns have been, looking 20-30% increases, and that's just not sustainable for especially people on fixed incomes.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
So I kind of run on a philosophy of respect, and I respect everybody. I've learned, especially when you're in the Army and you're in the military, you learn to work with everybody. That's kind of one of the things I've learned, you know, y- if you take care of your employees, they will take care of you. A lot of the employees are loyal. We just have to make sure that we're compensating them fair, and we're also making their employment a place where they want to be, not as a place where they have to be. So keeping, you don't want to micromanage. If the department managers, that's their job is to manage day-to-day operations. That's what they're there for. The city council is more of an oversight over that, over more of the department managers, but also making sure that the employees can approach you if they have an issue.
Thank you.
All right, that's the last of our tough questions. Before you finish, if you'd like to leave anything with us, now's your time to go ahead.
Just a patriotic veteran that's looking to help the city any way I can. And any way I can help the budget, that's what I'd like to do and be able to help guide the city in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Barker,
Yes,
can I ask for a 5-minute bathroom recess?
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion for a 5-minute
Second.
saunter. Second. All right,
Aye.
we'll adjourn for 5 minutes. Okay, we're good? All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started again. So now we have Jay Johnson. So we're gonna ask you 6 questions, but first we'll give you 5 minutes to introduce yourself and explain who you are.
All right. Obviously, my name is Jay Johnson, and my wife and I, we've lived in the area for 20 years. It'll be 20 years in July. I work at Hill Air Force Base and do IT work there. And my wife, we've kind of been a little service, done a lot of community service. My wife was a PTA volunteer at Green Acres when our kids were going to school there, and she also worked there as an aide for 9 years. So. And my daughters, they occupied the seats where you guys are in the old building on the youth council. So we've done a little bit of fun stuff in the city. But so why me to help serve in this community? I was a firefighter in Cache Valley, and when we moved down here in the area and found out that there was a position, an elected position at the fire district, I thought, well, I want to apply my skills and run for one of the trustees at Northview Fire that represents North Ogden. And so was able to run, and I ended up losing. But then I ran against John Arrington, who is a pillar of the community that first year. Then he and his wife went to go serve a mission, and then I was able to fill that vacancy and have been there for 12 years. Currently, I'm the vice chair and serve on our budget committee there. And so it's been a great pleasure to serve in that capacity there. Maybe some of the accomplishments during my time of being there is we stood up a second station at Station 22 that's up above Weber High School, and we've fully staffed that now over the years. It's been an ongoing, funding and things to get that stood up and buy apparatuses on that and maintain good fiscal policies over there at the fire district, and we've got great staff over there that runs that from day to day. One of the great new things we just barely finished was in July kicking off the new paramedic program. So we'd had paramedics in the department, but they weren't able to go out on house calls to residents, and so we got our county license through the county, and now we run that our paramedic truck with 2 paramedics and able to go to house calls now. And we're able to finally collect that levy that goes toward the paramedic fee to go help fund our positions there at Northview and not be serviced out of the other fire stations in Ogden and so forth. So that's been a big win for us. With the fire district being an essential service, and the cities, their role is to provide those essential services that we as residents hire out for the water, the police protection, and those things are of great value, and to be help be a steward of that would be a great honor. I'm a person who loves to study government, the U.S. Constitution, the Utah Constitution, the proper role of government. Those things are all very important, and lead me to be able to have those alignments for governing for needs versus the wants, and take the oath. It was fine. It was nice to see the new Planning Commission guys get their oaths today to defend the Constitution and protect our rights as citizens, and I take that seriously, and that's really it about me.
Okay, we'll start with Councilmember Watson.
Right, I got the first question for you. It's about zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there's adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
Yeah, we as a fire district, we participated in a RDA along the Washington corridor there. The Mayor Taylor came over there and made the presentation about knocking down some of those blighted properties and things of that nature. And and the goal was to spur the new businesses to be able to come up there and align that corridor with profitable businesses to add to the tax base and those things for us. But that is a vital, that's a front porch to the city. As that you lead up Washington Boulevard, or even 2600 on this way, those commercial corridors into North Ogden to, give you property tax revenues from businesses and sales tax revenues and so forth to help provide, funding for the city.
Okay, second question about property rights, state compliance. How would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements, specifically related to lot sizes of houses being, smaller lot sizes that they're imposing, and then also the ambiguous affordable housing that they keep throwing out? So.
Yeah, that's a big challenge. I think ultimately in the federalist model of having, the federal government, the state government, all the way down to county and city government, the design is to have the cities have the most control in their own personal region. That's the government that affects us each and every day. We interface with that. I work at the base. I interface with the federal government every day at the gate going through. But driving the streets here and being a property owner here, I would rather answer to you than to the governor, who doesn't know my situation, where I can come to the council and plead my situation for my property. There are vast pros and cons. We've seen it at the fire district as we've had the higher density housing comes in. It requires more service calls to us, and I'm sure it applies to police and other city services that go into those areas more often than maybe, say, a residential neighborhood, just with the sheer population numbers differences there. But there is, I believe in property rights for the owners, but to an extent that you don't want to have a neighbor, standing up a nuclear reactor in their backyard, those kinds of things you can't. There needs to be some common sense as we live together as a community and have those kinds of standards and zoning and so forth.
Yeah, I'm gonna push on this a little bit too, because this is what's killing us right now. But so if the governor says is threatening zoning, just take away zoning from the city, and I'll say you're forced to, but we have to put smaller lot sizes where people want, where farms are. And I guess that's kind of the big thing right now is how do we comply with, what would you do instead of trying to say stuff? I guess that's kind of what we're thinking or what we're asking.
Yeah, I guess Mayor Call over in Pleasant View, I've talked to him where he's worked as our treasurer at the fire district now. He has been called down by the housing czar down to Salt Lake to get spanked, in essence, because they haven't done enough high density housing. They've been focused on the commercial and stood up their commercial zones. And, he's frustrated by it. He's got developers that don't want to build less than $600,000 homes. And he doesn't want to have a section of town where it can develop into, a bunch of houses without carports that 2 or 3 generations of homeowners down the road aren't maintaining those kinds of properties as well as they could. He used 1100 North as the example that he shared with me. But I would almost, the state constitution in I believe it's Article 11 that covers the cities. It talks about those kinds of things being tools for the city. And I know they're passing laws and things, but it would almost be refreshing to see a community push back with a suit against the state. I don't know if they have or what, but that kind of pushback up by a city to be able to steer their community values and things and protect their residents for the way that the residents want it to be developed.
So is that what you would do?
That's the course I would go.
Okay. Sorry, pushing hard on that one. Just,
I don't want to be I don't want to be the litmus test trial court case, but
no, but some of these questions are, just kind of
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
wall, but at the same time, it's what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so I got the next one too. So with a relatively short average tenure amongst the current council members, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
I think with my time, having been through the budget process over at Northview for 12 cycles of doing budgets has been very helpful. Being able to over there, we have very limited funding sources with the property tax and ambulance revenue are really our only two sources. We get impact fees, but they're kind of spotty as they come in, as you guys know. But the challenges of the budget and those kinds of things would probably be the thing that would, I would offer and bring, some of our strategies and different things that we've done over there to bring ideas and follow the policies and procedures that have been outlined by, how certain funds have to be spent certain ways and require that kind of, expenditure accountability and so forth.
Thanks.
All right, sir. My question is kind of around making decisions under public pressure. How do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
Well, you'd reached into your knowledge of right, basically right and wrong, which goes into alignment with constitutional principles of the proper role of government and how it fits. Is it an essential service? Those are all questions that you'd want to ask and be vague. Be vague. Facts help settle emotions. Those kinds of things are all important in trying to diffuse and educate and deliver facts, data. Those are all important. Emotions are high. People have invested lots of money in their homes and businesses and those things, and the decisions that the council makes and in the community and planning. It's tough. There's hard decisions, and that's why the elected officials do that. You try to give them the data and just do your homework and your due diligence and all that you do to look at every angle, to not have those unintended consequences come back and bite you or harm any residents. And the idea of government will do no harm is one of those founding principles that proper government is founded upon, and that's probably would be my approach.
Thank you.
Okay, now I got a question on council effectiveness. So what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work, and how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's processes and effectiveness?
I like what you guys have been working on towards the roads. I know it's a big issue that's been, it seems like my wife and I, we do a lot of bike riding around the community. We usually ride our mountain bikes on the canal trail, but now there's snow and the shady spots and we have to ride on the roads. And you go through there and you see where some of the roads have kind of got seams, falling apart and potholes and so forth. But the way you guys have been working to get funding, working towards funding ideas and a strategy to work towards that has been it's a needed thing. And I'm glad that you guys are working towards that. And what could I add to that? Well, I think the funding part of it is one of those things that, we want the roads are the gateway to the city. I used Washington Boulevard as an example of the front porch to the city. The roads are arteries to get around, and we've got to find the money to do it. And I don't know if it's a matter of I know that they talked about bringing back the transportation fee in some conversations. That would help add to the stockpile of funds. Whether it's, we cut some of the wants versus needs and parlay those up front to help the road situation. but those kinds of just think outside the box things is, you know, that's the kind of thinking I would try to apply and augment to what you guys are already doing.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
That's a good one because I'm one of our chairs of our morale committee at work. We do all sorts of fun stuff at the place where I work at the base. You know, the city does a fantastic job. We took our granddaughter over to the live nativity, saw Santa Claus and all the work that went up of stringing the lights and doing those great things. And those things are appreciated by so many people in our community and people from the outside who come in here. And that recognition of all the work that the employees did and the elected officials that were there serving. We were there when for the Cherry Day ping pong ball drop. Ryan was there at the fire truck, and you know, just the staff and everybody there that does these things. Now for accountability and things like that, you know, I was talking to what's his name, the public works guy, Dave. Yeah, and he, you know, I'm frustrated because we've got like a lot of potholes on 2600, but they just recently in the last little 10 days or so have been fixed and marvelous. I'm really happy. But he told me there's an app on the website or a button on the website to report potholes. I had no idea. I think that is fantastic proactive stuff that they're doing. And it takes a lot if we just educate and the new website, you know, it's kind of clunky for me navigating it with my phone. It was hard to find the questions and things. I had to do like basically type in the elections and then it popped up to the page. Maybe it's just my phone, but or I should have done it from a computer, I guess. But the citizens of the city are the eyes and ears, and when they call something into the city to be reported to be fixed, or something of that nature, you know, for the people, for you know, the frustration of residents to be able to have a response and have, you know, a problem addressed or fixed in a timely manner is it means the world to me. We had a pothole out in front of the soccer park, and we called it in, talked to the gals over at Public Works. They got it, and it was a day or two, and then it was fixed. And when you see that happen, it's very, very rewarding and makes you proud of the community, and you feel valued. And when you report something and nothing gets done, that's where the frustration builds up, and you want to make that kind of accountability. I don't know how the exact reporting chain would be to if someone was not doing their job or was, you know, flagrantly doing something wrong, that, you know, it'd be reported and handled by staff, I guess, or the council. But I'm all for accountability for great kudos, or, you know, if something's not done, let's do better. Constant improvement.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the last of our questions. If you have anything you'd like to leave with us.
No, I'm good. I'll leave it this. Sitting in there with all the guys, we read Teddy Roosevelt's In the Arena, and we've got some fantastic guys, and it's so nice to have a big pool of people who love the community and want to serve. And what a great problem you guys have picking somebody good. So,
well, thank you.
But thank you.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and then our final interview will be Craig Jorgensen. Right, Craig, thanks for joining us. So we're going to ask you 6 questions, but before we do, we're going to give you 5 minutes to explain who you are and what you want to tell us.
Okay. So my name's Craig Jorgensen. I grew up in between Harrisville and North Ogden for my whole life. So I care about the community, and that's one of the reasons that I applied. I'd like to mention a few things that you're going to get if you pick me. One of those is I don't have any special interests in making decisions for North Ogden City other than being a citizen, other than being a homeowner in North Ogden City. I work for Weber State University, so I don't have any businesses. I don't own a business. I'm not a partner. I'm not anything like that. So when I come, I'm going to be focused on what actually is going to benefit the city and benefit the employees and the citizens. Another thing you get with me is this weird variety of knowledge and experience that I have, having worked. Just a quick little background. I have a degree in automotive technology. I have a degree in technical sales, and I also have a master's in business administration, all from Weber State. Having that, I moved from running automotive shops as a service manager into working for the Weber Morgan Health Department, where I then began this journey of realizing what food service businesses go through, what automotive businesses go through, what swimming pools, wastewater, law enforcement. I worked with fire departments and law enforcement. I worked with LEPC. I'm currently the chair of our Weber County LEPC. All this weird knowledge that I've gained, kind of a jack of all trades. And so I kind of have enough to get me in trouble, but I also have enough to know when I need to ask questions. I'm not going to make assumptions. I know everything. I know my limits, and I know when other perspectives need to be heard. I know voices count. And so that's the third thing I wanted to talk about is just understanding perspective gives us better insight on decision making. When you get honed in, you get blinders on, and listening to other people and having other people's perspectives really opens up those blinders where you can maybe see some blind spots. And so that's what I really wanted to say about me.
Thank you. I have the first question on zoning and economic development. How do you view zoning along the city's primary corridors to ensure there's an adequate commercial space to support a strong and sustainable revenue base for the city?
I guess it depends on the businesses that you were trying to attract. If you, oh, they're gonna make fun of me. In our back in the room, we said, if you build it, they will come. Well, what you build brings certain types of customers or certain types of problems. And so when you're looking at zoning, you want to ensure you have the right businesses that are interested in supporting the community, not supporting their pocketbook alone. I think businesses and the community have to work together. And so really, to answer that question, it just really depends on who you're bringing in and are they supportive of the community.
Okay, this one's on property rights and state compliance. So, how would you balance the rights of property owners to develop their land with the city's obligation to comply with evolving state requirements related to lot sizes, meaning a lot smaller, and affordable housing in general?
That's a good question. So having worked with the Weber Morgan Health Department and working for DEQ down in Salt Lake, I understand regulation and state code are very important to follow. You also want to balance that with what's right in the area. I believe citizens, homeowners, property owners have a right to do what they want with their property. They don't have, this might be a little, we still have to be cognizant of what they're going to do, and is that right for the community? You can do whatever you want. You can claim that you have the right to do whatever you want, but your decisions have consequences for the community and consequences for your neighbors. And it's important to understand what those are before you start just allowing people to do willy-nilly stuff with whatever they think they can.
Okay, so, and then next one is based on council experience and continuity. So with a relatively short average tenure amongst the current council here, what experience, perspective, or institutional knowledge would you bring that would strengthen the council's effectiveness?
Like I said, the variety of experiences I've had between different industries, anything from I've worked with and for small business owners up to corporations. I've been a part of like LEPC. I've been a part of Northern Region Hazmat Task Force.
What is that?
Oh,
acronym, sorry.
LEPC is Local Emergency Planning Committee.
Thank you.
And so having been on different types of committees, that's what I mean by that variety, having seen different things, having been involved with different things. It's definitely instilled in me that you need to ask questions and know your limits. So I have my perspective, but I should not be zoned in on just mine and mine being correct. It's important to get everybody's opinion and perspective on it to work together. I mean, one person is one, but a group can do a whole lot more.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I'm going to ask a question that's around decision-making under public pressure. How do you approach making fair and objective decisions when there is strong public sentiment from a vocal group that may not reflect the best interests of the city as a whole?
Well, you want to listen to them first. Having been a health inspector, I was never really, no one was ever excited to see me, right? And I'm sure I'm sure other people can feel the same way. But the thing that helped me was just listening. I mean, they have a voice because they feel strongly or passionately about something. And so it's just about listening and getting their perspective, because maybe there's something in there that we can learn from. Maybe there's something that's important that we don't miss but if they're so strong on it, sometimes it's just walking through the process, helping them understand. As a health inspector, was helping them understand the regulation, helping them understand code, that it's like, hey, we hear you, we understand, we can see you are frustrated. Unfortunately, we have to follow certain decisions, certain guidelines, certain regs, and just talking with them and letting them know they're heard, while also engaging and educating them on maybe why the decision, what they want, won't be for them. And that there's a whole group, there's the whole that we got to look after, and not just a small loud group.
Thank you.
All right, talking about council effectiveness, what strengths do you see in the city council's recent work, and how would you, as a council member, contribute to further improving the council's processes and effectiveness?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Okay, first, What strengths do you see in the city council's recent work? And then secondly, how would you help improve?
Okay. For me, what I've seen in North Ogden is a really good balance. I've seen that we're seeing businesses and commerce coming in, but we're also seeing homes coming in. We're also seeing not just high density homes, but we're also seeing regular homes and townhomes. We're seeing a variety of things coming in. And I think that's really what counts is you got to balance it. If you're too much commerce, you can't be dependent on one thing. It's just like putting your eggs in one basket. And so from what I've seen, I've always enjoyed the diverse variety that we have here, that balance, because you have commerce, you have homes, you have recreation, and it's just really nice to see that happen. And then it's not happenstance that it happens. It's the city council, it's the North Ogden City employees that really make that work.
Support for city staff and employees. How would you contribute to a positive and professional culture between the city council and city staff, including setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, and supporting staff in their work?
So obviously staff are super important. I mean, as a manager of some student employees, it's easy to discount them as you're just here for a little bit, just do your thing and let's go. But hearing them is very important because they're out there, they're doing the things, they're dealing with the people, and they need support on that. And so when staff comes in and they have recommendations or they have perceptions or what they see, it's important to engage them professionally. Obviously, we don't want it to get too casual because then that's when that line becomes blurred. And then I don't know how to explain that the best that I can. Because of the position as a city council person, you don't want that blurriness to become just friendship because there can be some conflict of interest there. And so if you understand that and you interact with staff and support them and listen to them, they can see that you're not just a friend, you're somebody who cares, but you still have a job that you feel passionate about making sure gets done.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was the last of our questions. So do you have anything you'd like to leave with us?
No, you guys all look great.
Well, thank you.
By the way, there's no pizza back there.
I feel like that's my fault.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, council, we're gonna move on to item number 7, discussion and/or action of appointment and administration of the midterm vacancy. So now's your time to deliberate and talk about what you'd like.
Well, this is something that I've been absolutely nervous about. I have participated in employee interviews as a people manager for dozens of individuals in the past. So I'm very used to interviewing people for jobs. I'm not used to interviewing people in public. I believe that everyone has a strong interest and has a lot of good points and has a lot of good attributes that would add to the council. It's just which one are we going to select? I wanted to just mention that otherwise, other than just how this interview process has gone, and I believe everyone else can probably say the same, I put in many hours of preparation by looking at all of the applications, reviewing every single one of them, and reading all the way through them. So I want to make it very clear that that was a huge part of the process for me, is that I didn't just show up today. I tried to make sure that I read through all of the different qualifications and skills that people wanted to bring to our attention. Yeah, that's all I want to say for now, but I'm interested to see what our other council members have to say about the process.
Go ahead.
I want to thank everyone that applied. I am the new kid here, so this was very scary for me because I just went through all this. So I as well have done a lot of interviews in my life, and I've never looked over applications like I have these and read through every one of them, and that's what I did for my weekend. And it's pretty neat to see how everyone wants to be a part of the city, and that's what I'd like to say as well.
Well, here in a few minutes, you'll no longer be the new kid.
Thank you.
Yeah. But
Somebody else can.
yes, but it was nice. We do have a lot of great applicants in our city, and it's nice to see that we had a great turnout for tonight. Go ahead, Councilmember Pulver.
You went first or last? So I think the kicker for most of this is that nobody, I mean, I think JD said it best. It's going to be a hard decision. I think, and if you don't get picked, that wasn't the fact. I mean, everybody here is a future leader. And I think I wrote that down either, kind of not yet, the future, that type of thing. So I think nobody here was not somebody that we want to just maybe some more cooking or something, but I think the key thing is don't walk away thinking, oh, I suck. No, I think each one of you had their own attributes. And I think some of the key things and I already wrote down some good ideas and other things that enthusiasm was kind of the key thing. And I think that's kind of the key thing for this. This is a grinding job. And if you don't have enthusiasm, you're dead. So, sorry, maybe people start walking out. Anyway, so, and then the key thing on budget stuff is that, just FYI, the Citizen Budget Committee has stood up in his meeting. And so, if anybody is even remotely still interested after they don't get this, because you got a 1 out of 7 chance, that's up and running. And that gives, we get brutally in the weeds. And that's one of the key things that if you want to continue down the road and have ideas that the current council, wants to hear, I think that's the key thing, because we need help. And I don't think anybody here will say we don't. We know everything. We don't worry about it. We need help every day. So thanks.
Yeah, I will just echo what's already been said. This by no means is anything random. We've put hours into studying the packets, calling people that we know you, and going over as much as we could before today. And so I think it's evident that all of us care a lot about who participates in this group with us, and we're looking for the missing piece. And each of us may have brought forth a different criteria here. And I don't know what everyone else's criteria was in their decision making. And that's an impossible task for those who come to the microphone, is to apply for a job not knowing exactly who they're looking for. So I really commend all of you for what you've brought forth and what you've said. And it's been impressive, and I've been taking notes. And I think all of you have qualities that could add to the city. And I hope that not only if you don't continue on with the council with us, I hope that you will continue to contribute those ways, whether it's serving on a committee or coming and participating in public comments or calling us on the issues that are important to you, because I think what we all have to add, many of you in your packets talked about being engaging and engaging others as well. And that's really impressive. And that's really what we need. A select handful of members here can't know it all and do it all. And so I think it's important to collect everyone's perspectives and in every decision that we make. So I hope that we see more of all of you after just today. But these were tough questions, and I don't even know how I myself would answer all of them, even now being 2 years in. So just want to thank you for being here and for the great ideas that you brought forth.
All right, thank you. Anyone have anything else they'd like to mention or say? Or if not, feel free and fill out fill out your ballots. If you need, we can have John play some Jeopardy music or something to help pass the time.
Just so the rest of the room knows what's going on, council. So this is what the ballots look like. Each council member will put their name down, the date, which is today, and then sign their name and check the box next to the candidate they're voting for. And then hand them in to the mayor, and the mayor will, oh, the date is already there.
Well, it's not.
November 27th? We're ahead of the game here. But the idea is we want you to sign next to the person you're voting for so that it's very clear who you voted for. And the mayor will read those out after all the ballots are turned in. And if there's a tie, then Ryan and I will explain the next procedure for you.
Are we ready?
Can we take about 5 minutes to just
Yep. You can
take a second?
Yep. You can take as much time as you want sitting up here with everybody watching you.
Yeah, I know that is awkward.
It really is so great when the public can make this vote. I wish that that would have been possible to have a ballot.
Up to you. Okay. So we have the 4 ballots. Now make sure I do this correctly. Ryan's gonna make sure I'm following the rules. I'm gonna read aloud each council member's name and then the applicant selected, and then afterward we'll make sure that I read correctly. So we'll start with, first one I pulled out is, oh, JD. I was trying to read your signature. Good thing I found the name.
Yeah,
No,
that was a
yeah.
bad call, sorry.
Okay, Councilmember Dowpaz voted for Stephen Neighbor. Councilmember Watson voted for Stephen Neighbor. Councilmember Pulver voted for Stephen Neighbor. And Councilmember Carney voted for Stephen Neighbor. Did I read your ballots correctly?
Yes.
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 Okay. Thank you for having a unanimous vote, so I don't have to vote tonight. Let's see. So with the majority of the vote, Stephen Neighbor will be our new council member, and we're gonna invite you up to the microphone, and Ryan's gonna swear you in.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
and that I will discharge the duties
And I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
in
Of
my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
If you like, we have a seat for you up here. Yeah, go ahead.
Just for a second, I just want you to know how deeply honored I am to serve on the council. And I also want to share one thing I forgot to share with you, is that I'm retired now from Weber State University. So for good news, bad news, I have enough time now to serve on the committee and discharge my duties. So thank you very much for your support. And I want to also thank the other candidates for applying. North Ogden City is a place to live, and you can see it by the number of people that applied today. And thank you for your service as well. So,
Yep. If you like, come on up and join us. You over this way. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We will now move on to public comments. So feel free to come up and give your name, whether you're resident of North Ogden, and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. So please come on up and make your public comments.
Sandy Cochran. I do live in North Ogden. I want to apologize for not being here at the beginning of the meeting. I spoke, I think, with almost every one of you, and I let you know how upset I was when there was a decision made to take public comments away from the beginning of the meeting. And so I definitely appreciate that that was allowed. And for those of you who voted yes for it, thank you very much. I don't think the council should ever limit the public's ability to share their comments, especially when it's been something that has been going on for as long as it has been. As long as I've come here, I've never seen public comments removed from an agenda. So it was really disappointing to see it in the first place. But for those of you who got it put back on, thank you very much.
Yes, the ham is in the room. Susan Kilborn, resident of my favorite city. No, you don't. You can hear me, for God's sakes. Okay. Beloved resident of North Ogden City that I love. Congratulations, sir.
thank you very much.
Looking forward to great things from all of you. Tara, I didn't get a chance to personally welcome you on board.
Thank you.
so Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for our city council to represent all of North Ogden. There is more diversity in our city now than there ever has been. That goes with ideology, that goes with religion, that goes with politics. However, if we all work together, we get more done. And listening to diverse opinions gives us ideas that we may not think about ourselves. And I would ask you most humbly that you would do that in the future. And as always, I am your humble servant and available for whatever. And I have a new name for you. I can't call you Mayor Barker.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
I want to call you MB. Is that okay?
That
MB for Mayor Barker. So we have bookends. He's JC and you're MB.
Okay.
And what I call the rest of you remains to be seen. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, candidates. Oh, one more thing. If you don't find a place in the city for Kevin Burns, I will be on your tail ends because he knows so much about this city. So unabashedly, get on it.
Okay. Any other public comments? All right, look to close public comments and then we'll move on to mayor, council and staff comments. We'll start with our staff. Ryan? Dave? Bryce? Scott? I don't think I missed anyone. Lieutenant? Okay, John?
There is an open position on the planning commission.
There is.
So watch for that opportunity. We will start posting for it. There may be some who in the room who already had applied. If they would like to reapply, they can just let us know and we will move their application into the next batch as well. So
For technicality's sake, Mr. Neighbor is no longer on the planning commission. He won't attend that. He won't be participating on that board right now, right?
correct. State code doesn't allow you to be on the land use authority and the council.
Do I resign that position formally right now?
I mean, essentially by taking your oath of office, you are resigned. So it'll be a 4-year term, not a 5-year term on the planning commission. So.
Okay. Any council members have comments? Councilmember Pulver?
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest things on this whole decision was I appreciated all of the time and effort that people went into filling out the forms, and we did read it line for line. And I think the biggest thing that it came down to for me as what the council itself needed was more financial knowledge and then also an intimacy with zoning and what the future economic development of our city required. And I think while all the candidates had a lot of good features, that's the way I voted. So thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I would just like to kind of mention my reasoning for voting for Mr. Neighbor. I think he has a breadth of financial experience that will be of great advantage to this council. He has leadership experience. He understands government accounting. I'm sure there are some differences between a university and a city, of course. So I'm sure he will have a lot to learn and get under his belt. But that was a big part to my reasoning with the way that I made my decision.
Okay, seeing no additional council comments, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do you have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we need a second?
Second.
Okay,